Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back to show off all the stuff that I was able to acquire at the Mother of Graves CD release show. I got a mixture of kind of plunder and autograph stuff that I'm going to show off here. I wasn't able to get any shirts. They didn't have my size in any of them, though Flesher was supposed to have 3X shirts, but they were on back order. But I went ahead and paid Dustin for a shirt, so that will be coming to me in the mail once those get here. But yeah, thought I would show off the stuff that I picked up from the booth over at Wise Blood Records. Of course, snagged me a couple of cool buttons from his table. But mostly picked up tapes from him from his little distro section. He had them marked down to a really good price. So yeah, gonna show off some Indiana metal here. I've done a review of this album. If you want my full thoughts, go check that out, I should say. But this is Shroud of Vulture with Upon a Throne of Jackals. And I wasn't sure if I had this previously, and I thought, you know what, for that price, if I do, oh well. But yeah, death, doom, black metal out of Indianapolis. From what I understand, they are currently split up. They were around since 2016. Not exactly sure when they split up, but this is their lone full-length album put up by Wise Blood on CD last year, limited to 100 copies. Transylvanian Recordings handled this tape pressing here, and it's actually cool to note that this actually features Apostle of Solitude bassist Mike Nash on bass. And honestly, I didn't pick these tapes up until like towards the later part of the evening, whenever I was getting ready to go inside, and before the first band went on, and I was getting ready to take my stuff to my truck, so I didn't have to carry it all night. So yeah, I picked these up way late, so I wasn't able to get him to sign it, or I would have. There'll be another time, I'm sure. And then I did a couple of blind buys for these next couple, because I really knew nothing about them. I was just like, you know, they look kind of cool, and for this price, check it out. This is Exhumation with Opus Death. Death metal out of Indonesia. Been around since 2008. This is their second full-length album. Originally put out on cassette by Morbid Bastard Records in 2014. Limited to 200 copies. This is a reissue from just last year by Transylvanian Recordings. I have not had a chance to listen to this or really any of these tapes. Again, another blind buy, but it looked cool. This is Funeralium with Decrepit. And this is some Funeral Doom out of Paris, France. Been around since 2003. This is their fourth full-length album put out by Caligari Records last year, limited to 150 copies. So the fact that it's on Caligari, I'm probably going to like this because I like a lot of stuff that they put out. These next two, I actually knew about these bands. I've been wanting to get these, but have not pulled the trigger on them just yet. But this is Anti-Creation with From the Dust of Embers. Yeah, death, black metal out of Greece. Not exactly sure when the band formed. There was no date on the Metal Archives. But this is their debut full-length album, put out just this year on tape by Sentient Ruin Laboratories, limited to 200 copies. Really looking forward to digging into this one. Then next up, we have Idle Ruin. They're self-titled. Death thrash band from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Been around since 2020. This is their debut EP put out by Life After Death last year. Limited to 200 copies. I was really excited to see that one in there because I believe Life After Death was actually out. And then, of course, you know, Sean, being the cool guy that he is, was like, hey, go ahead and grab another one, you know. Freebie on me, because he does that a lot with a lot of, you know, people, throws in some freebies. So I had seen this one in there. Again, another blind, well, I wouldn't say blind buy because I didn't really buy it, but didn't know anything about this band, but it looked kind of cool. Saw that it was on, I believe Everlasting Spew put this out on CD, but this is, tape is put out by Sentient Ruin Laboratories, but this is Assumption with Hadean Tides. Of course, Doom Death band out of Italy. Been around since 2011. Features current and former members of bands like Burial Invocation, Besserus, Shrieking Demons, among others. This is their second full-length album. Like I said, tape version put out by Sentient Ruin Laboratories just this year. So yeah, really looking forward to digging into that. And now the rest of this video is going to be like a mixture of autograph stuff and plunder. So yeah, course, one of the first bands that Sean pointed out to me that were sitting kind of out where we were at were a couple of the dudes from Blasted Heath, and I went down and talked to them. Really great guys. They grabbed the other two members. We had a chat about, you know, the album and cheesy horror movies and stuff. And of course, I was able to get them to sign my copy of their excellent album, Vela. And they took a picture with me and everything. Really cool dudes. And of course, I had to pick up a new copy because once I get a signed copy, I always buy a new one because I don't want to take a signed copy with me if I decide to take it on a travel somewhere. Then I was actually sitting there talking to Sean about something, and then I had this guy come up to me and was like, "Hey, are you Ryan?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And it turned out to be Jeremy England, the bassist for Man Eating Giant. And of course, I had brought my copy of their excellent EP to have Mother of Graves drummer Don Curtis sign. Even though Don was not on this, I still wanted him to sign it just because he's part of the band. And Jeremy was cool enough to sign this for me as well and take a picture with me. So if you happen to see this, man, thank you so much. And then, of course, Sean introduced me to Mike from Apostle of Solitude, and he got the rest of the guys together, and we got a picture and everything. And of course, they were all awesome enough to sign all of my albums for me. I just love the way CDs look when they've got signatures of the artists on the front cover. They look great to display. And of course, their latest one, Until the Darkness Goes. Love that cover art. And of course, the three-way split that they were on. So of course, I had to pick up new copies of all the full lengths. They didn't have any copies of the split, but that's okay. And then I ran into Dustin as he was setting up the Flesher booth. Really awesome guy. He actually is the one that helps put on a lot of these shows. Of course, he was formerly of Demiricus and a bunch of other bands. And I wanted to meet him at Heavy Hell 3, but he was so busy that day that he was not able to really interact too much with a lot of people. But really cool guy. Got my picture taken with him, and I got him to sign a bunch of stuff, and he was so gracious. And he was like, "Wow, thank you so much for obviously years of support here." And he, every time I asked him for them, like, "Hey, would you mind signing some stuff?" He's like, "Hell yeah, let's do it right now." And then, and afterwards, I was like, "Oh, can we, is it all right if we get a picture?" He goes, "Hell yeah, let's do this." But yeah, he signed my copy of the first Colt Hammer tape. And, of course, the Skeleton Witch albums that he was on. I actually flipped the booklet around in the case just so I could display it like that, since I got the slip cover. And like I said, I got the other albums that he was on. Got him to sign my copy of Sacred Leather's album. One of the other members was actually there. I believe it was Karloff Blitz, I'm pretty sure. This guy right here, I actually saw him walking around, but at the time that I saw him, I'd already put up all my stuff, so I wasn't able to get him to sign this as well. But still, just having Dustin on it is really cool. And then a couple more recent ones that I just got of Dustin's. This is Chrome Waves. And you will be seeing this one and the next one in a new update here soon. Then, of course, Black Arrows of Filth and Impurity with their lone release, 1984 Eternal. And as you can see, there is a second signature here. And that is because as I was finishing up, I thought I'd gotten everything signed that I needed to. And I was going to take my stuff to the truck. I had my bag sitting on Sean's booth, kind of get my stuff put away. And he was like talking to somebody. And he goes, "Hey, you were in Black Arrows too, weren't you?" And I was like, "Huh?" And yeah, he was actually talking to Todd Manning, who played bass on this album, or as he was called on here, Terrible Todd Bundy. So I dug out my marker in this album, and I was able to get him to sign it, so that was really cool. And then, of course, the two Demiricus albums that Dustin played on. As you can see, both of them have another signature. That is because I ran into guitarist Scott Wilson, again, as I was heading to my truck to put the stuff up. And I was like, "Hey," he was talking to somebody, but I dug my stuff out quietly and stood there and waited for him to notice me. I was like, "Hey, I don't mean to be rude or anything. I'm not trying to be. I don't want to interrupt. I would like you to sign this if you wouldn't mind. He was like, yeah, absolutely. And he signed it. And I was like, hey, sorry again. And he's like, no problem. Then he went back to having his conversation, and I put my stuff up and everything. But yeah, got some other stuff to show off here. This first little stack is stuff that Brandon, the vocalist of Mother of Graves, brought me. He was actually supposed to bring this CD to me at Heavy Hell 3, but he forgot. But this time I reminded him, and he's like, I'm putting it in my car now. But this is Lysura with Malignancy. And yeah, this was a melodic death black metal band. Not sure when they formed or split up, but they are split up. This actually features Max Otworth from Well of Night and Borboropsis, among others, on guitars and vocals. This is the band's lone EP, put out by the band themselves in 2012. Brandon did not play on this, but he had copies of it, so he brought me this. And then he said, hey, I brought a couple things here I thought you would like, including this tape, which he said was from his own personal collection. So, dude, if you see this, thank you so much. This means a lot. But this is 2. And I did not realize that he was going to do this. This is the band's second demo that he was actually on. In fact, I think he was on the 2 demos that came out after this EP, but this is the second one, put out by Fragile Branch Recordings in 2014, limited to 100 copies. And like I said, this was from his personal collection, and that means a lot to me that he would do that. And this one I did not even realize had a CD release, as it only shows digital, and it's only shown digital on their Bandcamp page, but apparently they made some CDs. But this is Venality with Moral Cancer. And this is a grindcore project that was active between 2013 and 2014. This actually, again, features Max, but also Jesse Curtis from Cadaverous. This is their lone EP, put out by the band themselves in 2013. So really cool to have that in the collection as well. And then, of course, I was able to get Ben Sandman, guitarist of Mother of Graves, to sign my Harakiri CDs, because he was in that band as well. And you might notice there's also a third signature on here, and that is because while he was busy signing this, he said, hey, Kent is here, would you like me to grab him and he can sign these as well? I was like, yeah. And that was Kent Hilt, who was the drummer on these albums. So that was a total surprise for me. And I also just this morning realized that he was in another band that I used to love to listen to years ago called Dreaming of Dragons. And I fucking loved that band. Sucks that they're not around. But yeah, also got Corey to sign my Christ Beheaded EP. And of course it was also signed by Dustin. And then Corey signed my copy of Summon the Destroyer's album, In Reverence of Sin. And he was super surprised that I had it. She's like, holy shit, bringing out the old stuff. Then, of course, I got him and Ben to sign my... Or, no, didn't get him to sign. I got Don and Ben to sign my copy of In Somber Dreams, because, of course, Corey was not on this, but he was, of course, on the new album. And, of course, I already pre-ordered this on vinyl, CD, and cassette. I've got the vinyl, which I will show in another video, and I was waiting on my CD and tape to show up. They didn't, so I ended up buying a copy of the album at the show, because I was going to end up getting a second copy anyway, because like I said, when I get stuff signed, I get another one. But I went ahead and bought a copy there at the show, and the band signed it for me. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for that. And of course, you know, took a picture with me. Really awesome guys. Go see them in any of these bands live if you get the chance. That is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.